Welcome to the Chamber Members Podcast. Today's episode will be featuring Paul Frey, a financial advisor with Edward Jones. We'll to hear how he got into the financial industry and what Edward Jones offers, and hopefully a couple industry tips. First, a shout out to SBS Consulting Systems for sponsoring this week's episode. If your business needs to implement some process improvements, technology integration, or just need some IT support, reach out to my friend Sean Hetrick at SBS Consulting Systems. They want your problems. Paul, thanks for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate being here.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
So Paul, to get started, can you give us a quick overview of Edward Jones?
Absolutely. Edward Jones is a firm that's been around for 101 years. We celebrated our 100th last year.
Wow.
So we are here in the United States and also Canada. So they consider us an international company. We have 19,000 plus advisors in both of those areas, plus home office staff. So we're well over 20,000 employees.
Wow, that's huge.
Service a lot of clients with 20,000 employees.
Yes, we do.
That's awesome.
Yes, we do.
So I know we've talked a little bit before. You've been with the company a little over 6 years. What got you into the world of investing in financial service?
Yeah, great question. So I started at Mount Union back in 1989. I thought I was going to be a CPA on the advice of my uncle, who was a CPA at that time. And he said, go to Mount Union. We hire a lot of folks from there. They do a great job. Mm-hmm. So for my first 3.5 years, I was an accountant. That's what I was going to do. And then junior year, there's a book they put on your desk. It's kind of big. It says tax. And I said, that's not for me.
Yeah.
And so I stepped back from that and really stayed with finance. I went with marketing and then also management. So when I got out of Mount Union in 1993, I went to work for Bob Evans. And that's a different long version of the story. But I came back to Edward Jones because I've been a client of theirs for a very long time. Mm-hmm. My advisor was Dan Fagert out of Worcester, and he just kept prodding me, hey, you want to do this. You'd be really good at it. Your background really leads to this. And so through my career, it just wasn't the right time. I got moved, transferred, promoted. So by 2016, it was time to start looking at Edward Jones again.
Nice. That's awesome. So when you meet clients, since COVID happened, everyone's been doing virtual stuff a lot. Do you still see that you meet clients virtually? What do people like when they're talking about finances? Is it face-to-face? Is it virtually? Is it a mix?
Yeah. So I meet with my clients where they are, right? All of you do the same thing. We meet them where they are. But virtually is something that we do, okay. Whether it's Zoom or Teams or whatever the established video is, whatever. We're using that. Most folks want to meet face-to-face still.
Yeah, I can see that.
However, once we've gone through the process, maybe because they're out of state or they're a longer way away, they don't mind a phone call or go through Zoom or Teams or whatever that would be.
Where's your office located at?
Yeah, so our office is right on Higby Avenue in Canton. It's at 4942 Higby Avenue, so we're right behind the mall.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Convenient.
Very convenient.
So when I think of financial advisor, I think of retirement planning. Is that what most people come to you for, or you guys have other solutions?
So retirement planning is a goal, mm-hmm. and we certainly work with that, but there are other goals out there. So there's a myriad of topics that we'll talk about. Sometimes it's emergency cash. Okay. Sometimes it's life insurance. Sometimes it's long-term care insurance.
All right. It's the whole picture.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
You had mentioned earlier education planning, so it's a piece that we also put in there. There's a lot of different goals that we work with.
Nice. So from my limited experience of retirement planning, financial planning, I know it can be simple or it can be really complicated, kind of depending on the person's, stage in life, their current situation, their goals for the future. When a client comes to you, what's kind of the process you take them through to kind of, discover what they're looking for and where they want to go?
Yeah. So all clients want to be heard. They really want me to understand what their goals are. And that really goes into needs, wants, and wishes. So it's really about establishing what those goals are before we do anything else.
Okay.
Right? And so the process is listening. And I ask a lot of questions, as both of you do as well in your businesses. So it's first trying to figure out what those goals are. Then it's really looking at analyzing what they currently have, because that's really what they want me to do. Mm-hmm. Before we even talk about solutions or advice, let's see where we are. Then we're going to take a look at maybe here are some potential solutions to those goals. Finally, they're going to want me to make sure we're always meeting to make sure we're on pace for them. And if we're not, how do we change that up? So it is an established process. You had mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
And it's a continuous cycle.
That's so important to really get to know your client and figure out what their needs are. Because they might think they need, it's like I know with IT, they think that it's one problem when it's actually something else. And similar there where they think they need this to reach their goal. And when you can sit down and kind of look at the whole situation and know where they want to be, you can provide that solution for them. The
one thing I talk about is what is that money for? What are these dollars for? So when I talk about goals, your dollars really equal a goal. That's really what we try to talk about.
I like that. Yeah. Kind of really helps you prioritize what you're doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
and, it's like, oh, I'm spending $200 a month putting this account. So it gives you something more tangible that you're going after that other than just like, oh, do I really want to do this? Yeah, I'm going to really want it later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's necessity items a lot of times that you're planning for. So.
So what's the process for a new client? Like, so if someone was coming to you and they're a new client, kind of, is there a process that they go through to become a client? I mean, we talked a little bit about sitting down and talking about those goals, but maybe you can lay that out a little bit more.
Sean, so when someone comes in and they want to go through this process, as I mentioned, those are the steps I'm going to go through. But typically they're going to have some outside assets and we're going to talk about those. So I'm really going to want to look at what those statements are. And analyze them for them, tell you what you already have, kind of what that looks like. Maybe they know what their investments are. Maybe they know what their life insurance is. Maybe they know what their home, auto, and umbrella policies are. Maybe they don't. It's time to have a conversation about what you actually have. So I'm going to ask for what they already have so I can give them some good advice.
Yes.
I'm sure you're pretty good at seeing like, okay, this is what this portfolio has been returning over the years through the statements, and these are the fees that they're charging you. Like I gone through that this year, helping a family member. It's like, okay, well, no, this section's good. We can leave this. It's like, man, why are we getting this? There's like 2% fees higher than everywhere else. So, the financial advisor was able to point that out for us. And it's nice. Like, okay, well, maybe we should move this, into a less heavily managed fund, for the goals that they were trying to do. So I'm sure you're able to explain all of that to them because there's a lot. I mean, they give you these brochures and it's like, I don't know what this means. You need an expert for that.
Well, I know I moved some money to Edward Jones and the process was very simple. I mean, I almost hands off to a degree. From my end, it was very, very easy for the money to move, and that was appreciated.
Sure.
So what stage of clients do you help with? Is that anywhere from someone trying to start early 20s, investing a couple $100 a month to, people switching jobs with rollovers to, kind of what range do you guys do? What's your client base look like?
Yeah. So that we do all of those from a startup all the way to a very strategic type situation. When we start with Edward Jones, we tell everybody this is our process. We do that with everyone. So whether it's $25 a month or whatever the number is, we're certainly going to work with them as long as they want to work with our process.
Yeah, nice.
So I always like to ask the guests, what do you think sets your company apart from the competitors out there?
Yeah. This is a very competitive industry now. And you can get a lot of non-help online. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's great. I think the biggest thing that Edward Jones provides is a personal service. So when you come and you talk to a financial advisor, you're talking to me. You're not talking to a phone number. You're not talking to a TV screen. You're not talking to a customer service rep. You're actually talking to myself and or Jesse, who is our branch office administrator.
That's so important.
I always feel like you get better service when you know who you're talking to. You can reach out to them. It's like sometimes you just need someone to answer your questions right so you feel at ease, especially with, financial markets. And they're always up and down every 7 years. It's like they do their roller coasters. So if you're doing it online, it's like you better be comfortable doing it online. That's who you got. So, I always like, dealing with someone local and in person.
For sure.
So what's the best way for someone to get hold of, your office? Is it by phone, email?
We do all of those.
All of those, yeah.
I think the initial conversation really goes into calling us at our office, but I respond to emails. It's the fastest way to get a hold of me. But certainly we get a lot of phone calls. We do a lot of emails. Some people have hit us online. Okay. Not as many, but
just to start the conversation. They feel comfortable.
Yep. I get some from LinkedIn, but not very much. So most of it is through email or phone call. Absolutely.
Excellent. So are there any industry tips you'd like to share with us today?
So, I think from an industry standpoint, there's a couple things that I want you to know. And any advisor is going to say this. It's the end of the year. Make sure that you have your beneficiaries in place, whether it's on your bank accounts, your car, your home. Make sure you have beneficiaries listed. You want to make sure that you're telling your loved ones and the state if something were to happen to you where you want your money to go. Secondarily, again, because it's the end of the year, make sure you've looked at your accounts this year, whether it's with your advisor or you're just going through your Social Security statement, life insurance statement, insurance statement. Make sure you know what you have.
Makes sense.
Nice. So before we go, are there any chamber member shout outs that you'd like to give?
Yeah, there's a couple. So I really like to thank Molly Romig. She knows so many people with Canton, and she's been very helpful for not only myself, but you as well. Absolutely. She's just a positive energy for the Canton Chamber. And then obviously you fellas. Thank you very much for having me today. Do appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So Paul, thanks for coming in today. Really glad we got to connect again. Having a solid financial plan and a roadmap is really important for people. So I'm glad we can promote you and Edward Jones and, give people a good place to turn to for that advice.
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate it, Andrew.
And I'd personally like just to thank you because you were one of the first people I met at the chamber going to the tips networking.
Yeah.
And just the openness and willingness to talk and to introduce me to people and things. I really, really appreciate that.
Sean, always pleasure doing so.
That's one great thing about those networking things is those people that are there that can kind of, hey, come with me. Let me introduce you to this person or let me show you here. So I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. Up next, our business tip of the week is brought to you by SBS Consulting Systems.
So today, business tip of the week, I think really it's just consistency. That's the key. Kind of, we were just talking about the tips meetings and, when you're doing networking or when you're going to groups, you have to be consistent. You have to continue to go and you have to continue to talk to people, continue to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And, over time, that develops that relationship and that's that bond between you and that person. And then that's really when the referrals really are driven, when you become top of mind to them because you've become a partner with them. So I think that's just really, consistency is one of those things that you just have to keep focusing on and keep going to grow your business. Again, this is Sean Hetrick, SBS Consulting Systems.
Sean, thanks for the great tip. I definitely agree. You never know when those opportunities are going to strike. And then consistency is how you do it. You don't know if it's going to be that 10th contact or that 21st contact.
No doubt.
So absolutely consistency. So don't forget, visit cantonchamber.org. Make sure you get on their website each month, just see what events they have coming up. They have a lot of great networking opportunities, some smaller events, some bigger events. Smaller ones are great to really, chat with people a little longer and make those connections. The bigger ones, really good to pick up some new business cards and meet some new people and start that conversation. So thanks for watching. Have a great week. We'll see you soon.
Bye.